Got a 300ex brake conversion. I seen the need some new brake calipers because the slides are all seized up in these, and I've tried to break them loose. Took them all apart, as good as I could, and they're just not going to break loose. So what it does is it makes the inside brake pad want to wear out. These ones aren't because they just put on, but the inside brake pad wears out and goes steel to steel, and the outside one's not doing anything, and it makes the brakes so they don't really work very good, and they're spongy because it's just pushing against the rotor instead of squeezing it. And I'm not really into paying $100 or $120 a piece for them. And I've bought used ones, and usually it's just somebody selling their old junk. They'll have seized up slides in them. It's a waste of time. So I made these little brackets, probably, I don't know, 1/8 inch or 3/16 or 3/16. Yeah, something like that. And I don't know, you can see this nut right here. You see, I kind of had to recess it into the metal, like drill the metal out big enough so that the whole nut could fit in it, and then both nuts are tacked on. But this nut I didn't have to recess because it goes on the outside. I got the wrong side to show you. I got the wrong bracket. They're also, one can only fit on one side and the other. But excuse me a little bit, it's kind of cold out here. It's like 23 degrees. But I had to recess the inside one because it has to be able to clear the bolts that holds the rotor onto the hub. So this would be on the opposite side, and with the other bracket. But basically, it just bolts on, just like the old brake caliper did. And then here is the new brake caliper that I'm going to put on. You can see it ground and everything, so it bolts right up to that. Now, these brake calipers, they're Chinese. You can get them on eBay for around $30. There's somebody selling them for like $28.99 to your door. You can find them in pairs where the bleeder's going to be pointing up, but you can use, which they're using them for rears on the little bikes, where the bleeder's going to be on the wrong side, but you can just take it off to bleed it and then bolt it up if you end up with that. I found one website has them. I can't remember the name of it, but you can get both of these with a master cylinder for $50. That's a killer deal. But these brake calipers, you can also get, I think the Suzuki 230, LT 230, uses these brake calipers. And the Polaris Phoenix is a really short area of like 05 to 07 or something, or they also use these brake calipers. Now, one of the things that kind of came in good with setting these up is you gotta have this face of this running really close to the rotor, because the way these are set up, the outer pad hangs onto these grommets, but the inside pad, it just sits inside this plate, so that once the pad wears out enough, the metal of the pad passes this surface, the pad can come out and get stuck in between the rotor and the caliper. So you want to have it as close as you can so that it can end up, not only good, but end up steel to steel, so you notice that it's bad before it comes out. Sometimes it'll get stuck between the rotor and the caliper and it's locked the wheel up, or sometimes it'll just spit it out, and then you're going to have your piston going against your... But pretty much, if you have them like the thickness of this between the caliper and the rotor is pretty, you got it pretty good, because this is a little thicker, or a little thinner than the base of the brake pad. But to make these, I pretty much took I put the rotor on the spindle. I had the spindle off. And once you make one, you can, the only thing that makes them from one side to the other is the fact that the nuts are on one side or the other. But I took a piece of cardboard and put it in between the rotor and the spindle. And while I had this in position above the rotor, I put like a piece of cardboard between the upper surface of the caliper, in between the rotor and the caliper, so that it was